this is the second part of my helping beginners improvements to photography with smartphones and cameras and stuff. No, that still doesn't work as a title. Anyway, in part one, I spoke about a couple of things. One was slow down, take your time. You don't have to rush photography. It's great. Just relax. Don't let the technology overtake you. Just take your time. It'll be good. The second thing we spoke about was telling your story. Thinking about what the story is you want to convey with your image, with your art, with your photograph, with your capture, whatever you want to term it. Think about the story. So slowing down, tell a story. There are a couple of other things I want to cover. Probably won't take us long on this, but there are a couple of little things that can help you just improve your storytelling. So the first thing is the composition. That is the relationship between what's in your image and the story you're telling. What objects have you got in that photo that you're taking? What's their relationship? What's their tensions? What are their constraints? And then thinking about how you position them. So physically in space, how are they positioned? Now you'll have heard, and I'm going to put up now, there's a few different ways of doing composition. And again, these are guides, they're not definitive. You can break the rules at any time if you see fit. The rule of thirds, the Fibonacci spiral, that's put in there for engineers because engineers and mathematicians love Fibonacci. If you don't understand it, I would Google it, to be perfectly honest, because I'm not going to sit here and explain Fibonacci spirals to you. But it's a way of drawing the eye through the image. And then the golden triangle, which is another way of dividing up the image. Most people talk about the rule of thirds, and that's absolutely fine. I use it all the time, especially in landscapes, position the horizon. I might put it on the kind of the top third here, or maybe the bottom third, depending on what's in the scene. But actually, if I'm on a coastal shoot, or I'm at the seaside, I might put the horizon straight through the middle, because it breaks the image quite nicely. And I've broken the rule of thirds. What will happen to me? Well, actually nothing, because I've just changed where the horizon is. But just think about things like the rule of thirds, and I think a lot of even smartphone apps will allow you to turn on a grid. And if you turn on a rule of thirds grid, that can just help you in putting your subject on one of, I'm doing it now because I can see it on the screen of my camera. You can kind of see I'm putting my hands there. One of those intersections, if I put myself on here, my eyes are on the rule of thirds, upper, and I'm on the vertical. And that just changes how I look at in the image. So think about the composition. I just changed my relationship with my sofa in my summer house. But yeah, that's a good way of actually slowing you down. It's just saying, okay, what's the relationship between these objects? How am I going to compose them? What happens if I move about? If I change the angle on them? All these things can help you. To help your composition, you can use lines. And I've got 4 examples on this slide. A couple of mine and a couple I've just borrowed. So the left-hand one, you can see it's wild garlic and bluebells in a wood, and I'm just using the path to take the viewer through. Okay. Likewise, here's an image I took with the help of Mr. Dave Griffiths on Anglesey, and I've used the path there to draw you round to the people who are put in there for scale against the Lachin Peninsula. I think I said that right. But you can also use elements of your image to frame it. So you can see that on this one, we've got, in the top right, we've got these arches, and they're constraining the view. So they're driving your eyes down the middle. And again, the lines are coming up, converging at the point on this pier, a long way out. But actually it's helping draw you into the image. And the same is true of the one below. But the one below not only has leading lines, it has a subject in terms of this marker, but has a repeating pattern with the edges of the wharf or the quay going out, just those pillars, those groins. So they're all different ways of drawing you through the image. You can also do some other things. You can use negative space. So negative space can help your composition by just accentuating where your subject is. And you can see this lady is probably on an escalator. It's maybe in a mall somewhere in the States. It's white walls, but she's in black with a black banister, or a black rail. But if we compare these other two images, both mine, both taken at Shelsley Welsh on the hill climb in Herefordshire, Worcestershire, I can't remember which, I think it's Herefordshire. The first one, the Porsche, the Golf Porsche, I just haven't left enough space around that car. So it's not going anywhere, it's just frozen in space. However, the Renault 5 Group B rally car, love that. Because I've left space, I've got the curbs and the curve of the corner, what that's actually doing is drawing your eye through that image in a much more effective manner. The other thing you can do is think about how you crop. You take an image, you don't have to use the whole image. You can just hone in on a slight bit. So if I take this image, it's a very, very bland image. I just was out while the car was being MOT'd, which in the UK is the annual test that you get the car to make sure it's roadworthy. I've got these trees and a reflection in the puddle, but by changing the composition, by changing the crop, I can change the relationship between them, and I can tell a slightly different story. And then, because it's a very bland image, change it black and white, and it looks great. Because you've got the reflection of the trees in the puddle, and it works much, much better. It's the same image, I've just cropped it slightly differently. This is one that my son will not appreciate. This is him probably about 5 years ago. It was meant to be a passport photo, but it kind of got a bit arty. But just by cropping it, turning it to mono and touching it up, I suddenly create probably the best portrait I've ever taken. I don't do portraits, I do landscapes and wildlife, but that I'm really proud of. But that's just changing the crop effectively. And you can see here, again, we just change how we appear, and we can move an image around in that, move an object around in that image to get where we want to be. So that's cropping and composition. So slow down, tell your story, think about your composition, so the relationship of those objects, and think about how you're going to crop it. You don't have to use every pixel. The last thing you're going to do is probably edit. Now, filters are great, but this comes back to the computational photography element. They take away some of your creativity. They allow you creativity by creating images that are different and wild and stunning, but actually they don't make you think about it. They should be a starting point, not an end point. Or don't apply any and do your own thing. And that's sometimes the best way. So filters in apps, and be it Instagram or Snapchat or whatever else, I use the word dangerous, I don't mean literally dangerous. I think they sometimes limit you in ways you aren't thinking about. Whereas having an app like Snapseed on your phone makes you think about, okay, what story am I trying to tell and how am I going to convey it? So be careful. You can see on this slide, we've got no edit, a subtle edit and an over edit. Now they're slightly different scenes, I admit, but you can kind of see that one of them needs work, one of them you can probably use, and one of them I think has been killed to death by a filter or someone just whapping the saturation up to 47. And likewise, you can see that here's one of my images. It's taken on chromic water in the lakes. It's just a rock in chromic water. But by slowing it down, by smoothing it out, by cropping in, by turning it mono, I can come up with an image that actually I'd be happy to put on my wall. As knowing that is chromic and looking down over Runnerdale Knot, Melbreck to Haystacks, that to me is a story I want to tell. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I've tried not to labour the point. I'm just trying to help. If you don't like it, don't worry. It's fine. Keep doing your thing. There are no bad images usually nowadays. They're just images that aren't thought about. So think about them, slow down, think about the relationship of things in that image, crop that image. You don't have to keep every pixel, and enjoy yourself. Just keep practicing. Shoot more and more and more. Get out there after this now and go and take a photo of your coffee table or your coaster or your mug of coffee. Doesn't matter. Just have a play and enjoy it, and hopefully become better. I mean, I'd like to become better because I still think I'm fairly average and bumbling and rubbish and turning out this guff. But hey, there's nothing wrong with that. So we'll leave it here. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed these 2 videos of my amazing masterclass in how to take photos if you're a complete bumbling amateur like what I is and stuff. Again, that's not a rubbish title. I'll come up with a better title for it when I actually upload it. So cheers for now, and I'll catch you later. Cheers. Bye.